We would like to welcome you to the Pensive Insights Channel. If you have been looking for information on what is or what may be the best NFT course or courses for beginners and more information, we have our top 3 videos that we have researched and want to present to you. But first off, there are links at the bottom in the description of this video that will take you to the official page that you see here, if you are looking for a course that may be able to teach you more of what you need to know for beginners. And as you can briefly see here, this particular course is said to show you how $20,000 in NFTs was flipped in less than 30 days and how you may be able to do the same. Also, you can see that there is much more information that you may be able to learn as well. Just briefly take a look here as we scroll. Also, be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for us as well. But now, let's get to our selection of videos that we have researched for NFT information for beginners and more information as well. Video number 1 is from the Amalia Income Designer YouTube channel. Video number 2 is from the Jack Esposito YouTube channel. Video number 3 is from the Neha Yadav YouTube channel. Video number 1 is from the Amalia Income Designer YouTube channel.
Hi everyone. Today we're talking about NFTs, follow up to my video on my initial thoughts, which I posted about 7 months ago, where I, for the very first time, took a look at the NFT marketplace as from the perspective of somebody who is formerly an artist and somebody who has educated themselves to be an investor. I have a Series 7 which has expired, but I did pass, so I have both the artistic side and the investment side. It seemed like something worth taking a look at. And back when we had this conversation 7 months ago, it was something that was a hot topic, which I have a lot to say about why it may or may not still seem like a hot topic for you, something that's being incredibly discussed on the internet, but we'll get into that later. So I wanted to give you a follow-up on what happened after I made that initial video, how much money I've made on the sale of NFTs and what avenues I've tried, also why or why not I've chosen to pursue them any further. So first thing is, when I started my search, I started with OpenSea, and that was basically the first Google search result that came up when I tried to look for an NFT marketplace. As you can see, after clicking on the Explore tab, it will indicate that there's some 22 million or so results available for me to look at. If I go to Rarible, it actually doesn't quite indicate, but there's even more. Somewhere I was able to find that there's over 1 billion NFTs listed on here. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different marketplaces, all with a variety of quantities that it will allow you to view. But if you're specifically trying to sell an NFT of your own artwork, that's what we were talking about in the last video. And when you're coming from it or to it from the perspective of being an artist and wanting to make money off of your own creativity, you can see that a basic search will yield some stuff that just looks pretty encouraging. Like, if this is out there, why should I not put my artwork out there as well? And if you haven't done enough research into it to figure out what you're looking at, it can be a very confusing place to start. So the first thing that you have to kind of overcome when you're looking at the NFT marketplace is discovering that there are pre-existing brands that have been established even in the short amount of time that NFTs have developed. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of out of breath and stuff. I don't make a lot of videos, and I have a collapsed lung, so I get out of breath easily. But anyways, as I was saying, there's a bunch of different brands, and so you can see them basically. You've got your punks, you've got a bunch of different stuff that will pop up, and if you aren't aware of the brands that are out there yet, you can somewhat discover them by looking at the collections on OpenSea. You got your CryptoPunks, which is what we were just looking at, Bored Ape, so on and so forth. And so what I was trying to figure out was to discern some type of rhyme or reason or sense a pattern to the way that these things were selling in the marketplace, or to see if it was just a complete free-for-all where anybody had a chance, but the chance was not more or less probable based on a variety of factors. So using the filters on OpenSea, which I did in my last video, I looked at a variety of different factors which drew me to look at one specific marketplace, the Sandbox. So what I did see on OpenSea was in the activity, I was seeing a lot of land, of course, being bought and sold, which makes sense because they had just done a release of land and they did it basically all at once. Another thing that I found was actually an asset being sold on the Sandbox, which I'm sure is somewhere within the market. But as you can see, something like the standard arrow created and being sold for an equivalent of $8.85 US dollars. As somebody who used to spend hours and hours creating animations, you can see how this would be a very appealing thing to hone in on, because from a standpoint of time, of course, there's creativity involved in everything you do. Like, look at the fireball, right? Somebody had a vision to make it look that way. And what you can't see from the outside of looking at these assets here is sort of their actual use. You can see it basically within the gameplay. Here's the asset in 3D. My partner and I actually got to the point of creating assets and then implementing them into game environments. He created a game experience that is playable. We were creating a portfolio that we were going to submit to the Creator Fund, and so we got pretty far along in the process of considering this as an avenue to, use for income and also just something kind of fun. And his game was pretty cool. So not only are they just objects, but they have different properties that can be assigned to them, different attributes, and so on and so forth. And so they actually have not just an art outward appearance, but they have a functionality that can be used by developers who create for the Sandbox. So again, when you're looking at one of these websites, you might see the asset as something that looks like a GIF or a meme or just an animated graphic. And again, there's so many different applications for NFTs. There's Axie Infinity. I'm sure this isn't new to anybody who is looking. I'm not sure how to actually get to it. Shows you how much I understand. But so I'm sure you've probably heard about it. There's a ton of different games and things where basically you have to pay to play. So you're integrating the world of art collectors, the world of video games. There's a whole bunch of applications for NFTs that I'm sure if you're further along in the process, you know more than I do. But like I said, this is like my second video on NFTs, and we're starting from the ground up. So what you can glean from this video, if you're more experienced than me, is what the adoption process for people who don't have your understanding might look like. And especially for people who want more mainstream adoption, bridging the gap between any level of understanding and not just dismissing it or looking down on it and saying, there's so much that you don't know. Like, there's an opportunity for you to become the educator also. And so what I'm doing is not necessarily educating, but exploring on behalf of people who are interested but don't know how to start exploring. So as an artist, when you're looking at these things and you're not yet familiar with the applications of the games that and the worlds and the way that they're used in all of these different environments, it becomes really confusing how to evaluate your worth in the marketplace. How do you differentiate between the worth of a meme? How do you find the real artists? And for that, I'd say probably try going to Twitter. So there's a large community on Twitter who is talking about NFTs, kind of peeked in on the world of what an actual artist who is building their own NFT brand, what they're doing, because a lot of them use Twitter. And so you can see different conversations between. I found a really good one that was sort of discussing the frustration of being an artist and seeing other people's NFTs sell and then not actually having that success on your own work of art for which you've actually put quite a lot of effort into. For example, look how detailed some of these artworks are, and as an artist you put much more into it than some of the things that you'll see on these just various websites when you first do a search engine glance, right? Okay, so there's that. Now, in between being a new artist, wanting to get in the game, there's something that you have to consider is, are you doing it for the love of art or are you doing it for the love of money? Because you may be able to shortcut the process of developing an entire brand and image around your art, and you can still pursue art, but you might be able to make money without actually being the creator yourself. So that takes a little bit of understanding and going through the process of educating yourself to figure out which of these items actually sell, which ones carry value, and trying to figure out the future value of these things, which is tremendously difficult. And I can see why it can feel like a bit of a gamble if you really don't know what you're doing, which is why when I made money on NFTs, it was actually a mistake. I did not intend to purchase a piece of artwork, and I'll explain that to you in a bit. But if you're doing it for money, there are many, many ways to make money. And if you're really set on quick money, I don't really think there's a pathway that can be described so much as quick money. I trade in the stock market and I've been trading cryptocurrency, period, like buying the dips. And to me, it's not any type of investment recommendation, but I know how much work it takes to care and give a hoot. And so you have to love it. So if you don't have the love for it, there may be a different option. If you do have the love and you're going to do it regardless of whether you make money or not, you got to do it because you have to do the thing that you love, period. So these things are going to give me some type of headache. Okay. So the first aspect is, do you really love doing it? And maybe you just have the time to do it and it doesn't have to be something you go crazy about, but you do have to put work into social. So people who are making artwork are marketing on social. So first is the passion. Passion for money, passion for art. Which one is it? Second is, do you have the interest to market it? And do you have the knowledge or the time? The third thing would be bridging the gap between the marketplace, understanding the search engine, and it also goes back to marketing as well. So just knowing that without the marketing aspect, where you are constantly putting your NFT in front of potential buyers, it gets lost in a sea of items. And the way that you do it, like the way that you actually set it out there, whether you say boost it, or you put it on auction, or you say buy now, like all of those things are little itty bitty factors that will be taken in consideration when you go to put up your piece. The other thing that we're talking about here is investment. So as an artist, you usually have cost of goods for the most part if you're traditional, familiar with investing a lot into the creation of your artwork. So when we're talking about gas fees, it's not quite the same, but you're not super foreign to the upfront investment. Now, if you have been working digitally, that investment, depending on what software you use, may seem hidden and the fee may seem high because you might already be paying for nice, expensive software. And basically, you have to basically believe that it's worth it to mint it and get the right price point and be able to calculate whether or not that investment will potentially pay off for you. So one of the things that we're looking at as well is, if you care about keeping the planet in good shape, the impact of cryptocurrency right now is, it does have an impact as far as the energy consumption. And I know that certain places are adopting it on a large scale, and so they're actually doing better to create renewable energy sources that can actually run the blockchain. And I think even volcanic energy is being used in some regards. So there are ways, but if you live in a place where you know that they're not renewable energy sources, then you can consider that your impact is going to have a significant use of energy. It says that it's about as much to power the conventional household for over a day and a half. And so you just have to think about whether that's something you are willing to give up, basically, to make some money. And so I do care a lot about the environment. However, I have sold 3 crypto kittens, and I'm going to show you 2 because one of them wasn't popping up for some reason, but this is one of the cats that sold for me. These were cats that I purchased in 2018, and they were bought from me this year, which it's 2021. So I had a 3-year turnaround on these cats, and I made over $600 some from the sale of all 3. I actually have 5 cats. And so my first purchases with the crypto kittens were actually pretty much accidents, because I completely did not understand what the heck an NFT was. And so these videos, I'm not pretending to be an expert. I'm trying to bridge the gap between knowing absolutely nothing and knowing a little bit of something in a way that can be explained differently than those experts who assume that you have a basic knowledge and understanding that some people, they haven't acquired that yet. So you have to kind of have the spectrum of discussion. So when I purchased these, I moved my money from, my main platform to a wallet, and from there used the CryptoKitties with the connection of the wallet to purchase. You can see my wallet. Anyways, so here is one of the cats that I bought. So I did do a tiny bit of research into cats. Now there's tons of bleeping cats out there. How do you know which one to buy? I was kind of excited to buy one that, number one, I thought was cute. Okay, not really the best way to make investment decisions. It's just based on appearance, but that's kind of where the NFT marketplace gets really murky and confusing to me, because there is appearance. And so when you override that, how do you know how to override that? So we're talking about attributes or cattributes now. So in addition to what I thought was a cute looking cat that I wanted in my portfolio, essentially, is a generation 2, which is a lower generation with a snappy cooldown, meaning that I could breed it quickly or basically sire it and have grand kitties. And so this cat, which you can see its birthday, the parents, this is my cat as well. So this is Pluto. So this is the cat that birthed this cat, and then I also had this cat come from this cat. Okay, you can see why it gets confusing. So you put your money in a wallet, you buy a cat for hopefully the right amount of money, do some price research across the different attributes, figure out which one looks attractive, cat attractive, so that there's the human element that will potentially make the sale happen, because there's a transaction of money, which is the part that I didn't realize when I bought the cat in the first place. I thought you could just exchange it for the equivalent of the Ethereum. I thought it was like a cat wallet. So I never understood that somebody actually had to buy the cat, because I didn't realize I was buying the cat from a person. I thought I was buying it from a marketplace that basically was like the stock market that had, market makers essentially like creating at the sales, and like I had no idea how many cats were going to be released. So we're just looking at these cats because this is my experience. So basically, from knowing absolutely nothing to buying a cat, to siring a cat, to siring another cat, to buying another cat. And before I knew it, I had spent money on these cats. In 2018, let's look at Ethereum. You can't even see this chart. But it was like the tail end of 2018. So that's such a small chart. You can't see the part of it where I freaked out and thought they had no value, because as you can see, post 2021, like, you would think it was a great move. But there's still a point in time where I'm just like, okay, the price has gone up from whatever it was, 115.89. Okay, maybe it's gone up. And I think, like, when I wanted to cash out, and to my shock and my horror, I couldn't cash out at the time I wanted to. Granted, it was probably a good thing, because now, as you can see, the price is higher than ever. So, sometimes it works that way, sometimes it doesn't. But this is actually the cat that made me pretty much all the money. So this cat was something I bought, again, based mostly on looks. Generation 9, brisk cooldown, whatever that stuff means. A special feature, I liked that feature. The mom, the dad, they looked the same. The children looked weird. I think this was my first grand kitten. Yeah. So I became the grandparent of young Boopity Hickety on November 14th of 2020. And so I made some money off of the siring of that cat. But basically the entire sale, the entire profits, the $600 and stuff, this was just this one cat. So I had 5 cats, and like, my investment into the 5 cats was purely just speculation completely. There was an attempt at finding patterns and making good decisions, of course, but it was grounded in absolutely lack of understanding. When I did buy this cat, I did understand that I couldn't cash out like immediately. So I thought this cat was one that somebody would buy back from me because of the features of it. Yet the ability for me to weigh whether or not almost 4,000 of those in existence who look possibly completely identical would go up for sale all at the same time, and basically dilute the marketplace and decrease my probability of selling my cat. I didn't know if that was going to happen. So when I put it up and I put it for sale, there were other cats out there. And so Tally the Ferocious. So for example, you can see for sale Tally the Ferocious. These are cats for sale right now. Wow. Okay. So it's going for a lot less than what I sold mine for. Because look how many cats are for sale right now. 0.0315. So I don't want to show you my email, but I sold that cat for 0.15 Ethereum, which now I wouldn't even be able to do. So again, timing is really important, and I think I just got lucky. So cool. I got lucky on a cat, and again, the timing of cashing out and everything like that was based on basically what the gas fee was at the time, which I paid like $60 just to cash out of this cat. Not to mention the transaction recorded on the blockchain used a tremendous amount of energy. So at the same time, since I give a hoot, I was trying to figure out how I can reduce my own energy consumption personally in my own life. And so I've done that in a variety of different ways to optimize my own household energy consumption. I have a kilowatt reader. I have been now looking at my water consumption a little bit differently, and I switched diets even so that I can hopefully make a better impact on the environment. And this is in attempts to offset basically the sale of the purchase and the sale of the cats, right? So for the 3 cats which I sold, there's 2 purchases or 2 transactions. So that's 6 transactions. Plus the purchases of the 2 that I'm keeping. So that's 8 transactions. Plus I bred twice. So am I at 8? I'm now at 10. And then one that had a grandkid, so I'm at 11. So that's like well over 2 weeks worth of energy consumption, basically, that I have done. And I think about that every time I trade cryptocurrency as well, because I have a tendency to overtrade, which is never a good thing. But especially when you got the environment to think about as well, it's more of an incentive to really get your timing right and then to do what you can so that you're not blindly impacting the environment. And that's really hard to figure out. But in my next video, I'm going to be talking to you about somebody who's really inspired me to care about the environment and the way that you can make money by giving a hoot and building your business to fit what you believe about and care about. I think that there are people who, just like drop shipping, are attracted to it for reasons that have to do with the concept that it might be easy. And honestly, making money on this cat was easy. It was also completely stupid because it was not my doing that cat sold for that much. I could have lost the entire initial investment, which, by the way, at the time, it was nothing compared to what it is right now. So if you're putting a significant amount of money into anything at all, as far as NFTs go, you should really be considering not only can people find this today, but can people find and care about the thing that you're purchasing 3 years down the road? And 3 years down the road, will everybody be trying to liquidate their assets, or are people trying to liquidate them right away for more than what they're worth? And in that case, will you have something that still carries value? And if you can't sell it in that amount of time, will you regret not having those funds available to invest in a different opportunity that comes along, or invest in maybe starting your own business where you can pursue the beliefs that you do care about, like the environment, or, whatever causes that you're passionate about? There's a ton of opportunity in the NFT space. I'm not anti-crypto and I'm not anti-NFT. I really like that the potential for building video games can be expanded to include anybody that has an interest, and I've seen that in different games and things already, but the ability to have them get compensated. What really needs to be improved upon for me to be more on team NFT is the whole energy consumption. And YouTube had a whole series about impact on the earth. You can see a lot in the advertising space right now that brands are trying to relate to people by showing that they care about the impact that they're creating. And so if you can see that type of care now, if you think about the Gen Z future investors, let's see, how old is Gen Z? I don't even know. Born between, who's that? Who's after Gen Z? Generation Alpha? I'm just learning of this. Okay, so we have a few years left before we have to move to a new generation. So this generation, let's see, born since the year 2010. So they're like 11 years old right now. And some of those people, holy cow, have you watched the GameStop documentary on Netflix? Like, there are young investors now, and there's things like Robinhood, and there's different. Man, can you think of all the retail traders who have children who are gonna develop an interest in investing and want to invest in things like Roblox and so what you're buying right now, and when you're thinking about who is going to be buying it back from you, you may be thinking about the wealthy people who have money now, but think about who is going to be the wealthy consumer of the future. And this generation Alpha is only potentially several years away from being in the game with us, and how that can impact the whole picture. It could be something very different by the time that you're looking to sell. And also, what the heck is your time frame on selling your NFT? Because I would love to know, like, when do you expect to sell your NFT for money? And if you're an artist, you're probably looking to sell it right away. So that's a little bit different than if you're the collector. But if you're the artist, you have to think about the interest of the collector, because they're the ones who are investing in helping you get the sale today. So, okay, if you have any information about NFTs that I seem to not be aware of, or just something you want to contribute to the conversation, please let me know in the comments, because I do read my comments, and I definitely feel like there's a lot that I can learn. Of course, it's not my main interest. Basically, since deciding that it wasn't a passion of mine to pursue art and to follow through with the creation of NFTs, I decided not to invest in them either. So I'm neither the creator nor the investor right now, but I see the potential for them. The energy thing, though, so let me know, where do you think it's going to go? What has paid off for you? And do you see any patterns that are, working out? Of course, you don't want to give away your secret sauce type of thing. Show me what you've created. If you've made an NFT, share your links. And I wish you all the best of luck with your investments.
Video number 2 is from the Jack Esposito YouTube channel.
To this new video on my channel. As you can see, I'm not very active right now on YouTube, but I feel that if I came across something that could be interesting to share with everyone, then I will take the chance like this time, to share with you my knowledge and to share with you my experience in whatever I'm doing right now. So today I want to share with you my experience so far with NFT and cryptocurrency. But to be honest, there are millions of videos on cryptocurrencies, and I'm still very a beginner on that field, so I don't feel confident to share with you what I think. I'm not giving any financial advice, so definitely I want to speak more about the NFT today, which for me is so interesting, and to be honest, I love it. So let's start from the beginning, right? So if you think about the NFT, it's a very new topic. Most of you probably don't know what is NFT, or maybe you heard from an interview, a podcast, or someone that you follow on social media. So I started to look at really a month and a half ago for the first time, and so probably like many of you, I was going on to look at. I was actually searching and browsing on Google, on YouTube, on people that I follow. Definitely have a look at Gary Vaynerchuk. That's probably one of the most expert in the field. And if you follow his social media, you will understand a lot about NFT for sure. But there are many influencers out there. Personally, I love Gary, and I've been following him for many years now. And so I really believe what he's doing, and what he's telling people about the NFT world, and not only about the NFT. So yeah, as I mentioned, I want to share with you today my experience with NFT and what it means, what I did so far, and also um, some success already happened in the last couple of weeks. So I want to share with you where I started really. So I started on YouTube, started to watch several videos about the topic. I spoke with friends. I followed, as I mentioned, Gary. I've been searching on Google articles that explain, more and more. I think the average person that heard about an NFT probably already heard the big news. One NFT sold for 60 million, or Bored Ape, which is one of the most famous NFT, sold for 30 million, 50 million, and all of that, right? There are already many famous sports people and singers and actors and so on that own an NFT, and they change their profile picture, so that get recognized instantly. So, but if you don't have, millions in your bank, and you want to start really, what should you do, right? I was watching a video on YouTube, really interesting, where someone was asking, okay, if I have $1,000, what should I do? And the question was was actually two people that knew the business really well, knew the topic really well, and so there are many what they call drops, right? So let's start with, I noticed that there are so many information that I didn't know, and I wish I knew it before. So I have this example here. This is so it's not random. That's why I chose this page, because I want to actually show you what I learned on my first week within the NFT, right? So let's say this is what they call the marketplace. So think about any other marketplace online of another product. So this is a marketplace right here. So you start to have a couple of figures, which is already important to understand, right? So let's start with collectibles. Collectibles means there are 10,000 NFT, so non-fungible token. So they are all unique. As you can see here, it's one edition minted. Minted, or mint, is actually the action of mint, of creating, buying for the first time the NFT. We will get back to that later on. So first of all, we have 10,000 collectibles, only 10,000 available for to purchase for this project at least. Then owners, really simple, right? There are 4,282 owners that own at least one or more, because there are collectors that owns one. For example, I own one loaded lion, but there are, I know that there are owners with 20, 50 NFT of this collection. That's why there are 10,000 collectibles, but 4,282 owners. Now, floor price. Floor price, it's really simple, but at the beginning I didn't know, right? Floor price means what is the price currently on the floor. So if I'm inside this marketplace, I know that there are auction, so I can take part to an auction, or I can buy now. Buy now means, is a very common concept that we know, means I can open one of these NFT, and as you can see here, you have the buy now price. So some of these are very rare, but you can see here, right? Let's say this is an auction which is currently on 10K, but I might have buy now, here we go, for 12K. And so there are so many different prices. Some of them are not listed for sale, right? But you can still make an offer sometimes. And if I scroll on top, I know that this is the buy now purchase price right now. So I can open the marketplace and potentially I can buy instantly for 3.8K one of these NFT on the marketplace. Then we have volume traded. So this is the volume traded so far. This is a project that started 2 weeks ago, and it's based on, so it has been created by crypto.com. You might have heard, right? There is a big news that most of us heard about the Staples Center in LA that will change the name in crypto arena now in December. So crypto is a massive cryptocurrency, an exchange, and have a look if you don't know about that. But this is their first, one of the first NFT collectibles project. So in 2 weeks, there are a volume traded of over 22 million. Now, if we look at the marketplace, there is another important information, in my opinion, that at the beginning wasn't clear to me, which is the attributes. So attributes are the NFT attributes. You might see here, you got a hat, you got, brown hair. Here you have blonde hair with a specific, hairstyle. Then here you have the body, which is different from this t-shirt and so on, right? So all of the NFT, they actually have specific attributes. And the attributes of an NFT really helps us to understand whether that NFT is rare or whether it's not rare. So this is very important to understand. So going back here, you have the marketplace, you have the drops. So this is usually, drops means the moment when a project drop the NFT, and so and where you can mine, right? So let's say Loaded Lion started 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had the drop of the Loaded Lion. When we did the drop, we were able to mine 1 up to 5 NFT of Loaded Lion, right? So mined, that's the word, and drop is actually the drop of the project on that day. Usually the best outcome is to get very early stage into a drop to get one of the NFT very early. That means you can get a unique price, the initial price. To give you an example, with this Loaded Lion, the initial price for the NFT was $200. So you can understand here that now the floor price is 3.8. So if you purchase at the drop $200, you can sell now for 3.8 minimum. If you have a rare one, there are some example where the rare one have been sold for much more. I'll give you an example on one of these rare Loaded Lion, right? If you look at the history, as you can see, $76,500. That was the purchase price of this NFT, right? So, and think about it, that person, it might be that they bought it for $200, but that could be the selling price. So this is important to understand how it works. Bear in mind, it's not always like that, right? I'm definitely aware that it's not always, the biggest project. It cannot be always millions of volume traded. Every project is different. Some projects takes longer to be recognized and to get, people attention. Some other, they're very quick. So it really depends about, the project, how cool the NFT also is, and most important, how the community is developed. So I think I will divide this video in two parts. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you like this video, next time I will definitely tell you the actual figure that I did with the NFT in 2 weeks only, because I started only 2 weeks ago. And also important information on how to grow the market, how to continue develop yourself within this market, and maybe also some cool projects that I'm involved right now and that are coming in the next couple of weeks.
The
So
Video
NFT
number 3 is from
situation
the
has just kind of
Neha Yadav
exploded onto the
YouTube
scene.
channel.
Christie is set to become the first major auction house to sell a purely digital artwork known as an NFT.
Same month, the NFT of Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey's first tweet sold for nearly $3 million to Sina Estavi, a Malaysia-based crypto entrepreneur.
Now we need to really talk about what this hype is all about. So what is an NFT? NFT is a non-fungible token. Let's first discuss what is fungibility and what is non-fungibility. Let's take an example of a fiat currency now. Suppose there are two parties and both have $1 each. Now both these $1 have same value and they can be exchanged amongst the two parties without it affecting any of the parties. But what if we are talking about an original Mona Lisa painting here? It cannot be exchanged for any other painting, simply because it's unique, scarce and irreplaceable, and as such it holds value. And as such, this Mona Lisa painting is non-fungible. Let's now discuss what is T in NFT, that is token. A token can represent anything, a currency, a equity in a company, a utility, or in the case of NFTs, a digital art or collectible. Now a token can be created by a smart contract. A smart contract is simply a program that runs on a blockchain. Now this smart contract is actually responsible for creating tokens, transferring tokens to an address and keeping track of balance of all the address. Now in case of Ethereum, you can pass some ETH to this smart contract and it will give back tokens. Now NFTs can be created on any blockchain that supports the creation of smart contracts such as Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, etc. Now people have been collecting rare assets for a long time now in the physical form. The digital art wasn't as popular because once a digital art is created, you can create a multiple copies of that digital art and it was very difficult to know which amongst them is the original art form until ERC-721 token standard was introduced on Ethereum blockchain. It was a game changer. It gave a way to uniquely identify tokens and transfer them and track them. Now these tokens sit on the Ethereum blockchain and anybody in the world could now verify who the original owner of the art form is and which is the original art form. Now let me quickly show you ERC-721 standard on the ethereum.org website. Now as you can see, I am on ethereum.org website and I am on this page which is describing the ERC-721 non-fungible token standard. Now let's come to this method section and can you see this parameter token ID? This is how you will uniquely identify the tokens. Let me show you the documentation. So all NFTs have a variable called token ID whose type is UN256, and for any ERC-721 contract, the combination of contract address and the token ID must be globally unique. That means this combination of contract address and token ID is a unique combination on the entire Ethereum network. Now in ERC-721 standard, you can also specify some metadata. So basically, suppose you are trying to store an image. So you can specify the name of the image and you can also specify the URL where the image is hosted. So that's how you can describe your NFTs on the blockchain. Now the next question is, what was the need of a new standard ERC 721? So to answer that, there was a prior standard ERC 20, but this was meant to be for fungible tokens. So if you come to method section, there is nothing that can identify this token is unique, and it is actually built for only fungible tokens. So if you see, the ERC 20 introduces a standard for fungible tokens. They have a property that makes each token be exactly same as another token. So if you take an example of ERC 20 tokens, you can have uni token, DAI, USDC, wrap BTC. So one wrap BTC is always equal to another one wrap BTC unit. So those were ERC 20 tokens, and they were meant for only fungible tokens. So that's why a new token was introduced for non-fungible tokens. Now ERC 721 standard allowed the creation of new projects like CryptoKitties, which gained popularity in late 2017. It's a game built on Ethereum blockchain for buying and selling digital cats, and it is famous for congesting Ethereum network due to its higher transaction volume. One of the most important points to keep in mind while buying NFT is, where are your NFTs going to be stored? Now let me take you to a Medium article explaining how CryptoKitty game works and actually stores the real images of CryptoKitties. There is nothing in the Solidity contract code that stores a cat's image or its description, or that determines what that 256-bit integer actually means. This is your basically token ID. So the interpretation of that is up to the CryptoKitties web server. So basically there is a centralized web server that is going to convert this 256-bit integer to actually what the interpretation of that cat is, right? So if the website is taken offline in the future, unless someone has backed up all the images, you would be left with owning a meaningless 256-bit integer. So that is the real danger of storing your NFTs on centralized web servers. Now you cannot store the NFT asset on blockchain either, because you can only store the metadata, since storing large amount of data on blockchain is very expensive, because it is going to be replicated on all nodes, and as such will cost you hundreds and thousands of dollars. So to tackle this problem, you can use IPFS, Interplanetary File System. It's a distributed system for storing, accessing files, websites, etc. Now let us see how it works. Now your file is essentially broken down into smaller chunks of 256 kilobyte objects, and whenever you need to look up for your file, you request it by a unique hash that is provided to you, also known as content identifier. So whenever you need a file, you provide this content identifier. Now the network then checks with the nodes which has your file. So that's how IPFS works, and OpenSea also recently launched a feature to freeze NFT metadata using IPFS. So what happens is, once anything gets written on blockchain, that is immutable. So once you provide a location for your NFT, then essentially you cannot change it again. So for example, you had an image and you are hosting it somewhere on a centralized web server. Later you want to move that to some other web server, but your blockchain is still going to refer to that old location, because that is immutable and now permanent on blockchain. So the solution for all that is using IPFS. So using IPFS, you can actually create immutable NFT metadata. So that's important to keep in mind, where exactly your NFT assets are stored. So the next question is, are the current high prices justified for NFTs? Now it all comes down to demand and supply. If people really believe something have a lot of value, then it probably has. Here are the list of some very successful NFT projects. Already discussed about CryptoKitties. Let's now discuss about other NFT projects which were wildly successful. Now first one is CryptoPunk. CryptoPunk was created by Larva Labs. It's a collection of 10,000 unique characters inspired by crypto art movement, with some of the CryptoPunks now selling for as high as $1 million. Now the second project is Sorare. Sorare was launched in 2019. Sorare is a fantasy football soccer game in which players can buy, sell, trade and manage a virtual team made of players represented by NFTs. The most expensive cards are worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now the next is God Unchained. It's an online strategy trading card game based on play to earn model. Its trading cards are NFTs with real world value based on their native gods token. Now the next one is Decentraland. Decentraland is a virtual reality platform where users can purchase plots of land that they can later navigate, build upon and monetize. Now some lands can sell anywhere between $6,000 to more than $100,000. Now there are some more interesting real world use cases for NFTs apart from gaming and digital art. So NFTs can be used as a collateral to borrow the loan against. NFTs can also be used to tokenize properties in real estates. It can also be used in private equity transactions. Now, the digitization of non-fungible tokens have opened up vast possibilities. NFTs can really be used to digitize anything that is considered to have value. Now, let me know in the comments what you think about this NFT saga. And that is it for this video, folks. Hope you like the video. If you like the video, please give like for the YouTube algorithm and please hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Once
Bye-bye.
again, we would like to thank you for watching our top 3 videos, for what may be the best NFT information or courses for beginners and more. Hit that like button and that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Also remember that we have links below in the video description that will take you to the official page that you see here, for a course that may be able to teach you more of what you need to know for beginning or starting off with NFTs and more. Once again, you can see that this particular course is said to show you how $20,000 in NFTs was flipped in less than 30 days, and how you may be able to do the same and more information as well. Just briefly look here as we briefly scroll. Hit that like button and that subscribe button for us, here at the Pensive Insights Channel.